Hey, what's up, my friends? Welcome to the 5 Keys to Healing Childhood Trauma Workshop. How are you guys? I see you there in the chat. Welcome, everyone. First and foremost, if you can hear me, type the number 1 in the chat. Let me know that you guys can hear me. Make sure we're all set up and ready to go here. Welcome. See some of you guys from California, Jersey, British Columbia. Welcome, guys, from all over the world. It's beautiful. I'm really stoked to be here with you. Where are you guys all from? Where are you at? Got California, Jersey, Canada, India. Wow, amazing. Amazing. All over the world, guys. We're international. You know, that's something I really love about what's happening in the world right now around trauma and healing and mindset and growth and this personal journey that we all are on, is that we have decided as a collective that it's time to heal. It's time to change. It's time to grow. And what's really beautiful, probably more so than anything, is we have access to information like we never have before, and we're able to connect like this. I wish I was with you guys in person right now. I had planned on doing 20 cities this year and traveling the world a bit more, but alas, here we are. What are you going to do about it, guys? We just try to make way the best that we can. Crystal in Phoenix, and Andrew in Kentucky, and Jennifer in Boston, and Ashley in Missouri, all over the world, guys, all over the states. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm really excited as we get started, just because I'm curious, what are you hoping to learn here tonight with me? Leave a note down there in the chat for me. What are you guys hoping to learn this evening? And as we kind of start jumping in here, so I'm going to try to keep this to an hour because everyone's time is super precious. I know for my East Coasters, my folks in the UK, you know, I'm guessing it's pretty either late or early for you. And so I don't want to keep you up and make you get up early. So we'll try to get through this real fast, but we have a ton of information to cover. So I'm really excited to dive into it with you guys. There is a spot here where you can ask questions as we go. So if you want to ask a question, click the Ask a Question button, and I'll prompt you guys with some things as we go through. So I'm really excited to communicate with you here and dive in. Justin, how to move forward with my life and overcome my trauma responses. I love it, Justin. My friend, I've been there. I know exactly where that place is, where you're just like, why is this happening? How do I work through it? How do I change? How do I grow? Yeah, trigger responses. It's a big one, right? The way that we react to trauma is such a big part of this entire journey and this entire process. So we'll dive into a little bit of that stuff as we go. And as we go, feel free to ask questions. I'll get to them as we can. We'll give folks just another minute or two here to pop in, and then we're going to get rolling, guys, because we have a lot to cover in a little bit of time. I'm going to do my best to give you as much value as possible. I'm a fast talker, so you can watch this again if you need to. I'll send you guys the link. I'm going to send you an email when we finish. I'm going to give you all the information that you need here, because I think that one of the most important parts of this process is that when we're given knowledge and information, we should distill that upon the world, because it's through what we understand that we can create community and connection. And at the end of this, I'm going to give you guys a bunch of resources, including joining my Facebook group for free, and the Think Unbroken Academy, and some courses that I have coming, and my one-on-one coaching, and all of the things. So we're going to dive into a bunch of stuff here. Jennifer, the place between finally knowing about your trauma and where to start to heal. Jennifer, you just nailed it. That is exactly what we're about to talk about. We're going to go deep there, because one of the things that happened as I was in this journey and getting serious about it a decade ago, I recognized I had no idea where to begin. There wasn't someone like me in the world at the time, right? There were no book. I read all the books on trauma and healing and Gestalt therapy and NP, all the things, right? And the one thing that was kind of missing was these cornerstones and these pockets that made sense. And if you're like me, a very analytical person, then you kind of need rhyme and reason. And that seemed to be missing from most of the literature and all the things that I experienced. So, it's really fascinating to me to fast forward 10 years later, now being a coach and a mentor and an author and a speaker and traveling the world doing this, to recognize like, oh, wow, there's something to this. So we're going to definitely dive into that. And then Diane, learn about the effects of childhood trauma. That's exactly where we're going. So great thoughts, guys. We're on the same page, so that means we're ready to learn. Again, thank you guys for all joining. If you have to pop out, if you have to leave, I'm going to email you the replay of this, so you're going to be able to watch it again on your time. Keep that in mind. I'm also going to email you all the resources when we start to wrap up here. And then I'm going to give you a whole bunch of stuff to take away with you from this evening. So who's excited to get going? If you're ready to get going, type the number 2 in the chat. That way I know we're ready to rock and roll. Yeah, and I'm really excited to be here with you guys. I miss being able to do this in public with human beings. And so, it kind of is what it is. We hang out together in this capacity. We do what we can. I think one of the greatest things about 2020, even though it's kind of this crazy year, is that we do get to connect in ways that we never have before. So it looks like everybody's hitting that too. Looks like we're ready to go. Again, if you have questions, you can certainly ask questions as we go. I'm going to put in some polls as we go. There's a little donate button there that you can donate if you're like, oh, I feel like this is something that I want to contribute to. I'm doing this for you guys, so don't feel obligated by any means because I'm showing up for you here this evening. I'm going to try to stop shaking the camera, but I get animated. Like when I'm on stage, I'm across the whole thing. Cameramen can't keep up with me, and it is what it is. So we're going to dive in here, guys. I'm going to share my screen so you can see the presentation, and then let's make sure we're good. So we are now sharing, and you guys should all be able to see my face. If you see a slide that says 5 Keys to Healing Childhood Trauma Workshop, hit that number 3 for me. That way I know that we are on the same page, guys. If you guys see that slide, hit that number 3. I'm really excited to get going here with you guys. It's going to be an awesome evening. We're going to move fast. We got the 3s. We're ready to go. So first and foremost, guys, I want you to focus on right now and being in this moment with me and with this community of these other amazing human beings who are here right now with us, because you could be anywhere in the world right now and you're here with me, and I appreciate that, and it's beautiful. And it is moments like these in which we start to change the world, not only for ourselves but together. And I just want to say thank you. And as we start to hop in here, I want you to stay focused, turn the phone over, turn the music down in the background, put the headphones in, send the kids in the other room, stay here with me. And I promise you're going to take away some really incredible stuff here this evening as long as you hang out and stay focused. Again, if you need to leave, if you need to head out, feel free to do that at any time because I will send you the reshare. But try to stay live with me because I'm going to ask you guys some questions. I'm going to give away some copies of Think Unbroken. We're going to do a lot of stuff here together. And first, I have to start with this because this is super important to me. Gratitude. I just want to say thank you guys so much for being here with me. Look, realistically, talking about the impacts of childhood trauma as adults is like the elephant in the room of society of mental health. And it's scary and it's uncomfortable. And sometimes we feel like we're being shamed or guilted or embarrassed because of things that we can't control. My friends, let me tell you, just by showing up here today, you are already making a difference in your life. That is ownership. That is accountability. That is self-love. That is self-care. That is showing up for you. That is amazing. I want you guys to just take a moment and acknowledge that. Give yourself a hug. Give yourself a pat on the back because you're doing something really important right now. And I also have gratitude for you because, like, realistically, you rewind 5-6 years ago, I never would imagine that this would be my life. And because of people like you, I'm able to do this. And it's really meaningful for me to be of service. So thank you so much. Quick disclaimer, please understand that I'm not a therapist. I always start every one of these with a disclaimer. If you or someone you know is in the middle of a mental health crisis, you can visit thinkunbroken.com. There's the link and check out some resources. I put resources from around the world there for you, or please call your local emergency phone number. Again, I'm not a therapist. I am a mentor and coach and educator. And this is something as you're stepping in, if you do feel suddenly like triggered or you need to remove yourself, please, again, remove yourself. You can come back and watch this later, my friends. Do it at your own pace. This journey is not about right now. It's about all the moments from here forward. So please keep that in mind. Quick overview as we dive in. And again, we're going to move fast, but if you have questions, please feel free to ask a question, hit that donate button, do the polls, anything that comes up here. And we'll start with me. I'll tell you a little bit about my story, how I got to where I am, and what you can expect here. We're going to talk about understanding trauma, the effects of trauma in our brains and our bodies. I'll move pretty quickly through that section because we're going to get to the meat of this and talk about how do I start to heal from childhood trauma. That's the reason you guys are here. That's the reason I'm doing this, because I want to start to give you the foundational mindset practices and principles of being able to step into this thing called healing. And ultimately, healing in this process, in this journey, is whatever you want it to be. But if you remember what I said when we started, when I began this process, I didn't know where to begin. And these things that we're going to talk about made sense to me. And so hopefully they'll make sense to you also. And then we're going to leave off with some tools. So I'm going to give you guys some takeaways, some stuff to take with you, some mindset practices, some ideas, some worksheets. I'm going to give you guys a bunch of tools here. So if you're ready to get going, if you're ready to dive in, hit that 4. Hit that number 4 for me. That way we know we're ready to go. And we're going to get started, guys. I'm super excited. I'm going to grab some water real quick. Like I said, fast talker. And we're going to get going. Beautiful, guys. Got some 4s coming in. Manuela, welcome. Andrew, Sharisha, I hope I said your name right. If I didn't, I'm sorry, but I'm pumped to have you here. Thank you. Kathleen, welcome. Diane, welcome. Justin, Crystal, guys, let's do this. So first and foremost, on the socials, I'm at Michael Unbroken on everything. I'm not a hard person to find. Obviously, you're here with me, so welcome, my friends. Tell you a little bit about who I am. First and foremost, I am a trauma survivor. I'm not a snake oil salesman. I'm just going to keep it real with you. I'm going to tell you guys about my past and my journey and how I got to here. A little bit about me. I've been a serial entrepreneur ever since I was 12. Some of those ventures legal, some of those ventures not. Today, I'm happy to say very legal and very in tune with my values and who I want to be in the world. And today I am a mentor and coach and advocate for other adult survivors of childhood trauma. You may be asking yourself, like, what does a childhood trauma mentor and coach do? The biggest thing that I do is I help people understand this mindset, these practices and accountability and personal responsibility and growth in healing, in understanding why we act the way we act and behave the way we behave, and create and cultivate self-love, the most important cornerstone of this entire process. And I share this based on the Think Unbroken curriculum, which I put together and travel the world now with, as at one time was a 5-day workshop, which has now turned into a 12-week mentorship program that I do one-on-one or in small groups. And you might be asking yourself, well, how do I know what a mentorship is or does? And so high level, just quickly, you can look here. We talk about mentorship and support, guidance, tools, mastery, accountability, and game planning. One of the biggest differences between therapists and coaches and mentors like myself is we don't so much sit in the past as we create a game plan for understanding where we're at right now in this moment and how to create the path to where we want to go. That is one of the best things about working with a coach and a mentor. And even in my own journey without coaches and mentors, I can tell you right now, my life would not be what it is. So just a little overview of what that looks like. And I'm going to talk to you guys about my story here. So I'm going to give you the high level. It can be a little dark, but hang with me, guys, because we're going to go somewhere with this. My childhood, in essence, was stolen. My mother was a drug addict and alcoholic. My father, you see in that picture on the left, I only met him one time after this photo. He was never in my life. My mother married the stereotypical worst stepfather you could possibly imagine. My brothers and I were abused top to bottom, up and down, left and right, in any way you can imagine. If you're familiar with the ACE survey or study, my score on that was 10. We'll actually talk about that as we dive in. To give you kind of an idea, my life was so chaotic. When I was 4 years old, my mother actually cut my right index finger off. So you can kind of see that in the video, not your standard index finger. That kind of lays down the foundation of this chaos that I started into. My mother, a drug addict and alcoholic, stepfather, super abusive. My grandmother adopted me when I was 12 years old, and I'm biracial, so black and white. My grandmother, super racist old white lady from a little town in Tennessee you never heard of. So instant identity crisis, right? Next thing you know, when I'm in my teens, I'm into drugs and alcohol, and life's pretty intense. The impacts of trauma are so detrimental. And for many of us in our youth, we don't actually understand that we are being impacted by the effects of trauma because it feels normal. I remember these moments and times in childhood where I was just like, oh, I guess this is how life is. And for me, trauma manifested itself in so many different ways. You can see me, I'm in that IU hoodie. Go Hoosiers. My Hoosiers are out here today. I started having asthma at a young age. I had crippling anxiety as a child. I wet the bed. I was constantly nervous or hypervigilant. You guys may be familiar with that word if you've been learning about the impacts and the effects of trauma. By the time I'm a teen, this is me about 12 going into 13 years old, I started falling into the wrong crowds, but it was a crowd of community. So I was doing drugs. I started smoking weed when I was 12 years old, guys. Next thing you know, by 13, I was drinking. I was failing in school. I got kicked out so many times and ultimately found myself in this place of being homeless and having suicidal ideations and attempts by the time I'm a teenager. And life was just very, very chaotic. I didn't actually graduate high school on time, but you can see here I did make it finally a little bit later than everyone else. So this is me at my graduation with my grandmother and my mother, whom later I had to remove from my life because one of the things that happened as I discovered this idea of boundaries, I had to put boundaries even in my own life against my family and say, you know what? The direction that my life is heading with you in it is not the direction that I want to go. Now that's a whole nother lesson for a whole nother day. And I know many of you are probably in that boat as well. But let me tell you this, one of the greatest things that we can do is create community first within ourselves and build self-love and build this thing inside of us that leads us to this place of being able to show up for ourselves, to defend ourselves, to be capable. And sometimes that means making really hard decisions. And we'll kind of talk about that here as we go. And finally, this is my family. These are my brothers and my sister who very much like me experience the same life, but have found through their own hard work and their efforts a little bit of peace, a little bit of happiness, a little bit of love and joy in the world. And I love them dearly. It took us a long time to get to this place where our relationship was healthy. A lot of that was because I didn't understand why I was doing the things that I was doing. I couldn't understand why I was keeping them out or shutting people down or not loving myself enough to be accountable for myself. And we're going to talk about that right now. You see, I fell into what I call the vortex, this awful, vicious place where no matter what I did, life didn't seem to make sense, where I was hurting all the people around me, but worse, I was hurting myself by smoking and drinking and anonymous sex and going to clubs and parties and doing things that were not in line with the character of the person that I wanted to be. I chased all of the wrong things, thinking that they would satiate this need and this desire that I had to be loved and feel love and to be seen and felt and heard by people and community. And I found while being in the vortex, I actually was destroying my life. You see, deep down, we are the stories that we tell ourselves. What we say about us becomes true. And in this place in my life, I've now graduated high school, barely, and I'm working in corporate America, not really knowing what's next. And I'm chasing money. I'm working for corporate. I'm wearing a tie to work every day and suits. And here's the thing. What's really interesting, I was chasing this money. I became successful in business and then later as an entrepreneur, but I was 150 pounds overweight, smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Not one, guys, 2 packs. Do you know how many people smoke 2 packs a day? People who don't know what they're doing. And then I was drinking all day long and smoking weed from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed. I was morbidly obese, suicidal, and I hated my life. I went from this idea of homeless and being homeless as a child to chasing this thing that I thought was important, money and clothes and possessions. And you can see here that face was not reflective of the face that I had inside, but I didn't know how to tap in. If you guys ever been in that place where you're just like, I don't know how to tap into what I think is inside of me, hit the number 5, because I'm so curious if I'm not alone in this. If you've ever been in this place where you're just like, I feel it in me, there's something great. I just can't seem to figure out how to get there. Like I can taste it, like I'm reaching, it's almost there, and I want it so bad, but I can't. Hit that number 5 if you've experienced that. Yeah, guys, totally. It's all of you. Like I've been there. It's one of those things that as you're in it and in this moment, you're like, there's gotta be something else, right? And so you can see here, I'm partying here. I'll admit it, I do not love that picture of me in front of the popcorn machine, but I want to show it to you so you can understand like where I was at. How can you care about anything in the world when you don't even care enough about yourself, right? And that's where I was. I was living this intense double life. I was lying to my family, to my friends, to my partners, But worse, I was lying to myself, and I had no idea when I looked in the mirror a reflection of that person, because I was drowning in my choices. All of the decisions I made, it was about, how do I get more drunk? How do I get more high? How do I make more money? How do I push people further away? How do I sabotage every relationship? How do I make people hate me? How do I end up being this thing based on the story that I was telling myself? Because you see, and you guys may relate to this story that I told myself was embedded in me in youth. It was my teachers and my parents and my friends telling me I was a loser, I was fat, I was stupid, I would never amount to anything. And then what happened is I became that, because I didn't know that I had the ability to tell myself a different story. And that's how we got here today. Because I had to face the man in the mirror. I had to have a reflection of the person that I was. And so one day, as I'm getting ready to go and do this convention where I'm showing off my products and trying to build my business for the next year, I'm standing in the mirror. I'm buttoning up a size 4 XL. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 XL shirt and a size 47 pants. And I'm hung over again. And I cheated on my girlfriend again. And I smoked another pack of cigarettes again. And I was high again. And I looked at myself in the mirror for the first time in my life at 26 years old. And I said, enough. Today, everything changes. And how many of you guys have had this moment where you're like, enough, 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 but there's no follow through? You start something, but there's no execution. You want to do it, but there's nothing that's next. I've been there, my friends, and we're going to talk about that a little bit here. And so what happens? I had to begin rewriting my story. I had to take my health seriously. I had to take my life seriously. I had to do hard, difficult, uncomfortable things to learn and grow. And that started first with adjusting the things that I put into my body and my mindset and my physical movement and the people around me. And then learning and understanding and adapting and adopting and finally doing things that I never thought I would do, like leave Indiana and leave my home and travel the world and speak on stages and write a book and then get to this place where here we are today talking. And my friend, let me tell you this. People seem to think that people who are successful, who come from chaotic pasts, are an anomaly. But I'm going to tell you, not only with the clients that I work with and coach one-on-one who see incredible changes in the world, so do people that you may actually know or be familiar with. We'll talk about that a little bit. And so today, let me tell you this. I believe without a shadow of a doubt, there is no question asked that everyone is capable of becoming the person that they believe they are. If you believe that you are capable of becoming the person deep down that you think you are, hit the number 6 for me. Because I'm so curious, because I had this belief and it was just buried, trapped down there. And it was just like, somewhere it exists. Somewhere is this idea that I can be this person. Andrew, you get it, my friend. Sharisha, you get it. It's beautiful. Diane, Crystal, yes, Justin, I love it, guys. I'm telling you right now, like, I hate when people think that I'm an anomaly or that the people that we look up into the world are as well, because the truth is anything is possible. But it starts with this. You have to recognize what's happening in your mind and body. You have to build healthy tools. You have to develop self-love, which is honestly one of the most difficult things that we do. And you have to choose to be healthy. And let me tell you this. My secret is this. I made a decision. Here's what you have to understand about this process that a lot of people aren't going to tell you. This is a choice-based decision that will change your life. You have got to decide to heal. And that means there's a lot of work. There is a lot of work that comes up that is next. You have to decide. You have to make a choice to heal. And then the hard part, the real hard part, my friend, is you have to be responsible and accountable for everything that happens next in your life. Because I'm going to tell you this, when I started this journey, I did not realize how difficult it was going to be to acknowledge that my mother was abusive and cut my finger off, that my stepfather used to lock me in closets and beat me at 3 o'clock in the morning, that my grandmother was so racist that I had an identity crisis, that I had a learning disorder and wet the bed and had asthma and had no friends. And I had to reflect on as an adult that I was lying and cheating and stealing and hurting myself. And I had to make a decision that I was going to hold myself accountable to the promise that I made myself when I was a child. I said, when I am an adult, I will not have the life that these people have set up for me. But ultimately what happened is because I had not yet adopted the mindset and the skills and the habits and the understanding and the knowledge of the science, I wasn't able to create that life. And so the first thing I'm going to do, my friends, is I'm going to give you the self-love assessment worksheet. So I'm going to send you an email when we're done here. You're going to get an email with this self-love assessment worksheet just so you can start asking yourself some really simple questions about what it means to love yourself. Because I'm going to tell you this, of all the things that I've done and all the learning that I've had, all the courses, all the mentorship, all the coaches, all the going sitting in those rooms with 5,000 other people trying to do the same thing. You know, the one thing that I discovered, none of that stuff matters if you have not started building the foundation of loving who you are. And so this is what I'm going to give you first, is the foundation, because again, this is about value. This is about creating something for you. I want you to have this for you because it's so important, because it's the foundation. It's the catalyst for everything. And so what does it mean to be unbroken? It's a definition that you get to decide. Being unbroken is this concept for me that was a reflection of seeing how people thought about me. Anyone who has mental health issues or suicide attempts or is different in society's eyes can be viewed as broken. And I imagine many of you have felt that or heard that or been called that. And that was so much of my entirety. But let me tell you this, it's not true. We're not broken. We just haven't had the support and the tools and the knowledge and the information and the community to grow and to heal and not be in that place. And so just by being here right now, you're doing that, and it's beautiful. And I thank you for that. And I hope that you're really taking a moment to acknowledge yourself. And Justin, I'm tearing up a bit. This is beautiful. Justin, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Look, here's the reality. This is a possibility for everyone. I'm going to share something with you here that's really personal to me. Though trauma may be our foundation, it is not our future. Hit the number 7 if you believe that's true. Though trauma may be our foundation, it is not our future. Because here's the reality. Yes, we come from these very chaotic, traumatic pasts. But the future, everything from this moment forward. Guys, let me share this with you. Right now, at this very moment, everything that's happening from here and on is up to us. And we'll talk about that some more. Before we get going, the next thing I want to share, as we're going to dive into kind of the science of trauma, I'm also going to send you guys access to a free course, is CPTSD Controlling My Life, that I put on Think Unbroken Academy. I know a couple of you guys have already taken it, but for those of you who have not, there is a free course that's on Think Unbroken Academy. You can take it at thinkunbrokenacademy.com. And also I will put it in the email follow-up I'm going to send you guys. And I want you to know that I'm starting an online in-depth workshop on this course on September 24th. So I'll have more information on that for you guys too. And then there'll be future courses as well. So September 24th is the first one. And then every single month, we're going to roll out new courses at the Think Unbroken Academy. So if you're watching this at some point in the future, just know that that's there for you as well. And so the question, the reason we are all here right now today is, how do I heal from childhood trauma? Let's dive in. And I'm going to move fast because the free course is CPTSD Controlling My Life, goes a little bit more in depth into this. And also, trigger warning, guys, this is really important. When we get into this part, sometimes people start to reflect on things that have happened in their past. These questions are super important, though, because we have to understand the foundation of how we got to where we are in order to move forward. So if you feel triggered, if you feel uncomfortable, if you feel like, man, this is so much, hit that pause button. You can come back to this. You do not have to do this right now, okay? But stay with me. We're going to dive in. So the science of trauma. The most important thing that you have to understand is that, and this is an estimate, that 70% of human beings have suffered a traumatic experience before the age of 18. That is 7 in 10 people. That means that there are multiple people in this room, probably all of us because of the context of what this is, who have suffered trauma before 18 years old. And so we dive into this thing called the ACE study. And this helps us understand the correlation between things that happen in our childhood, adverse childhood experiences, and ramifications of what happens to us as adults, whether physical, mental, emotional, or just behaviorally. right? And so the ACE study was created by Dr. Vincent Folletti because he found this correlation between adult obesity, my experience, and childhood trauma. And then as he dove deeper, he found, oh, there's actually a correlation between many other things. So the ACE score, it's 10 questions. I'm going to run through the questions quickly here. Again, you can take the CPTSD Controlling My Life course at Think Unbroken Academy, where I dive deeper into this. So we'll go through real quick. Keep the score to yourself. This is only for you, and you'll see why it's important here in a moment. So first, did a parent or other adult swear at you, insult you, put you down, or humiliate you? Did a parent or other adult push, grab, slap, or throw something or injure you? Did you ever have an adult fondle or attempt to actually have sex with you? Did you often or very often feel that no one in your family loved you or thought you were important or special? Did you ever have to wear dirty clothes, not have enough to eat, feel like your parents were too drunk or high to take care of you or protect you? Were your parents ever separated or divorced? Were one of your parents grabbed, slapped, kicked, hit with a fist, or beaten by the other parent? Did you live with anyone who was a problem drinker, alcoholic, or used street drugs? Was a household member depressed or mentally ill, or commit suicide or attempt suicide? And did a household member go to prison? Now, I know that's really a lot of questions to throw at you in this situation, and you're probably like, oh, wow, this is really impacting me. I shared with you at the beginning, my score to this is 10. And I want you to keep your score for you. Do not share that. This is for you, so you have an understanding. My score was 10. And that's really profound, because as you step in, you start learning about the numbers. If you have answered yes to one of those, there's an 87% chance that you'll answer yes to 2 or more. If you answer yes to 2 or more of those, there is a 4 times chance versus someone who did not that you will experience chronic disease, right? And so one of the things that happened to me when I was in my mid-20s, I started getting really sick. And I had 47 hospital visits in 1 year, and no one could figure out what was wrong with me. Because when we grow up in a cortisol state and our body is constantly in fight or flight, it's tight, we can't breathe, we can't think, we can't act. If you know anything about the fight or flight mechanisms with our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, what it is a foundational function, like at its baseline, it is created, fight or flight is created to help you survive a terrifying scenario, i.e. a bear chasing you or a car accident. You hear about people who like lift cars off their babies, because their adrenaline is pumping so much. For those of us who grew up in a chaotic home, that adrenaline pump was always there. We were always high alert. We were always hyper vigilant. And that creates tension and stress and pain in the body. And that's real. That's not this thing that's woo-woo. You can literally feel it. It's hard to breathe. It's hard to think. It's hard to concentrate. And so as you kind of look at these numbers, you go, oh, okay, there might be a correlation. Some of you might be having this moment right now. You might be thinking, oh, there's a correlation between what happened to me as a child and some of the things happening in my life right now. So let's dive in a little bit more. So here's some of the effects of trauma in adulthood. If you have a score of 4 or more on the ACE survey, there is a 2,000% increased chance that you will smoke. There is a 2,200% chance that you will be an alcoholic. That means 3 or more drinks a day every day. There is a 5,000% increased chance that you will have depression. I don't know about you guys, but I'm 3 for 3 so far. And there's a 5,100% increased chance that you'll commit suicide. And this one was the most impactful to me because on my 25th birthday, put a gun in my mouth. I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't know what to do. I just wanted it over. And for some reason, I will never understand why. I swear to you guys, I will never know why. When I pulled the trigger, nothing happened. And today, I'm here with you. And I'm so grateful for that because who knows why these things happen? Who knows why we experience the things that we experience? And it's so hard once we've experienced that to try to right that and create a life. But that's what happens here. And this is your brain on trauma. One of the things that starts to happen that's really important is your body's response to stress to danger increases your metabolism and messes up your glucose level. Your blood pressure is impacted. Your inflammation is impacted. You're always triggered. That's because your brain doesn't know how to calm itself. That's why modalities like yoga and meditation and journaling and even just walking in nature are so impactful for us. And so if you feel triggered, a lot of you guys wrote, I get triggered, I want to understand this. Let me help you understand being triggered just from a very baseline perspective. So being triggered is our amygdala's response to fear under chronic stress. So when our amygdala goes crazy, it is a protective mechanism to keep us in this place of safety. But what happens is because it does trigger our nervous system, we have to also be able to turn that off. And too often we can't. And so what happens is we're stuck in fight or flight. And one of the things really important about the amygdala is it is the place where our memories are stored. And because the amygdala doesn't have a chance to calm itself, it can't take memories that maybe should be here and put them here, right? And so what happens is we often, if you've experienced this, flashbacks or memories or daydreaming of really traumatic things, it's because your brain has not actually been able to yet process them. And so if you've ever been triggered or have a panic attack, which was my experience, like 5 a day, you might feel triggered, you might have a racing heart, feel sweaty or shaky or nauseous, right? A lot of people, myself included, before doing public speaking, get really anxious. And so what do? Right before I joined you guys, I just stopped and I breathed and I remind myself, wow, I'm doing this for a purpose. These people are here because they want to learn. I'm able to teach them because this was my journey. And my power is knowing that they are welcoming me in a safe way, in the same way that I'm welcoming them. And no one's going to be hurt and no one's going to be injured. And at the end of this, we're going to walk away with a better understanding of ourselves. And I just breathed and I took a moment and I paused and I was like, let's go. Because one of the things that we do have is we have the ability to control just simply through our breath. And so next time you're feeling a little stressed out or freaked out, just stop for 2 minutes and breathe and see what happens. Quickly, let's talk about and understand the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system basically control all of our functions, right? So the sympathetic is fight, flight, or freeze. The parasympathetic is rest and digest. One of the things that I always tell people in order to remember, think about parachute, right? If you have a parachute, it's safety, it's rescue. That's what the parasympathetic nervous system is. How do we get back to this parachute, right? The sympathetic, what happens is it makes our body speed up, we get tense, we become hyper alert. Our functions that are not critical to survival shut down, i.e., we get scared and pee our pants, right? Our ears ring, our eyes get tunnel vision, we get dry mouth, we can't think straight. That's the sympathetic. The parasympathetic, it's the counterbalance, right? So it restores that, it calms. And so when we stop and we pause and we breathe, that's what we're doing. We're tapping into that parasympathetic or rescue system to get back to center. And the sympathetic nervous system, it delivers adrenaline. And so that's why you get scared, you get shaky, you get freaked out. You're like, ah. Now, when your brain is bathed in cortisol as a child and that is your experience, you don't have the ability to process, to understand, to grow. There's so many things that happen from that. And then finally, the big thing, probably the biggest, and for me, the reason why is, if I can feel my heart pounding out of my chest and I just slow down with breath and get back to that parasympathetic nervous system, seems to make my day go a little bit easier. Because I still get triggered. I still have flashbacks. I still have to work through trauma every single day of my life. And I imagine a lot of you guys are with that too. Who's with me so far? I know I'm throwing a lot with you. If you guys have questions, throw it in the question box. If you have thoughts, please feel free, use the chat. I want to make sure that we can have dialogue here, guys, as we go. And so if you do have any thoughts or questions, now's a great time. Again, Think Unbroken Academy. I'm hosting the in-depth workshop on this course starting on September 24th. Again, I also do small group coaching and one-on-one coaching. I will send you guys the links to small group and one-on-one coaching so you can check that out if that is something that you're curious about in the email that I send you after this. And quickly, we have one of the things that I want you to think about as we step into what's next is, where do you begin? And this is always the question, right? So we kind of have the baseline, we understand trauma a bit. So where do we begin? The thing that you have to understand in this journey is I don't think that there's necessarily just like one place, right? This can be anything for us. And as we step into this process of healing, the thing that we have to keep in mind is that everybody's journey is going to be different. Everybody's going to be different. And so for some people, it might be getting a mentor like me, or a coach, or buying a book, or going to therapy, or creating a game plan, or just learning about mindset, or going to, a yoga meditation. There's so many different things that people do in the beginning of this. But you have to ask yourself these questions and these statements and find out whether or not they're true or false for you. And it's so much about where are you at in this journey right now at the place you are in your life. Are you ready to be emotionally vulnerable? This is the hardest thing, right? If you guys remember Good Will Hunting, and there's that scene where Robin Williams is talking to Will and he's like, it's not your fault. That just, even now, it makes me get teared up. But the thing that you have to keep in mind about this journey is like that's emotional vulnerability, where you're getting this place where you're willing to acknowledge that the past is not your fault. Guys, look, let me share something with you really important. As children, we are not culpable for the mistakes of our parents, but we have to carry the burden of that until we recognize that even though we are not responsible for those things, we are responsible for healing. And I wish it weren't the case. Like, honestly, like, no joke, I wish I wasn't doing this right now. I wish I wasn't with you right now. I wish we never even had to have this kind of dialogue. But that's not reality, and that's not life, and that's not the truth of it. And so we have to ask ourselves some really hard questions. And I'm so lucky and grateful that I do get to be able to be here and share with you and talk to you and share my journey and my lessons, so that hopefully one day you're in this seat helping the next person. Because I know for sure if we're willing to step into vulnerability, we'll grow. And you face your biggest fears, and you find accountability, and you got to be willing to take action, right? This is action every day. We got to be willing to step into this every day. And probably the most important one is that you have to accept that there's no magic pill to heal trauma. There's no one thing that you're going to do that's going to change your life forever. It's a series of a lot of little things that lead up to a moment that create change. So be patient with yourself. And I asked you earlier if you thought you might know someone who had an experience of trauma that was traumatic, that has led to this place. And if you look at these people, they may have some familiar faces. Emily Dickinson, Oprah, Maya Angelou, Henry Rollins, Bill Clinton, Rupert Kipling. These people all experience severe childhood trauma. And we often in society look at these as some of the most incredible leaders and scholars and thinkers and teachers. And a lot of them kind of share their gift with the world based on their experiences. And so my hope, what I pray, is that one day you get to do the same thing. And so there's 5 questions as we head into this, the keys, right? That's why you guys are here, to learn, to understand, and to ask yourself these questions. Right. And as we go through, keep in mind, I'm going to send you a link with everything that you need. I'm going to send you an email for Think Unbroken Academy, for one-on-one coaching, for the book Think Unbroken, as well. Again, I talked about at the beginning, for the Think Unbroken Facebook group, which is just a private group for people who are on this journey together. I'm going to invite you to all these things. So as we get into the 5 questions, I just want you to take a moment and breathe and pause and come into this with understanding and with trust, because we're gonna look at some interesting things here. Question 1, and this is a reflection for you. You got to ask yourself this question, and honesty is really important here, because it's kind of the cornerstone for everything, right? The way that we talked about ourselves and the way that we understand who we are is so critical. And so, question 1: there are people that take action and people that sit on the sidelines waiting for action to happen. Which one am I? I'm going to tell you this, my friend. My guess is, since you are here right now, you're one of those people taking action. And that's really powerful, because so many of us just sit and we wait and we wait and we wait and we hope, and then nothing happens. Think about it. Anything that you've ever done in your life has been difficult, right? And the things that you've done in your life that create impact and change in your life have been the most difficult, but you took action. And so here, as you're trying to step into this thing and what's next, you have to decide, am I a person who takes action, right? And by answering that question, you'll be able to go into next. And that's getting out of your own way. The biggest problem that we have, and this was my experience, that I was just simply in my own way. I had not built the trust or the love or asked myself these hard questions to be in a position where I could step through and acknowledge my power and my strength, right? You guys are already light years ahead of where I started this journey just by being here right now, because you've said, you know what? I need this. I'm going to get out of my way. I'm going to show up. I'm going to learn. And so, guys, I'm so proud of you, because that's the most important part of this, like just going and making action. And the action that I want you to take away from this right now in this conversation is why. One of the most important things that we have to do in this journey is we have to ask ourselves, why? Why are we willing to do this? Why are we willing to go into this place of utter despair at times? Because it feels like, oh, I can't seem to get through it. I keep going to therapy. I'm coaching. I'm reading the books. I'm doing all the things. Here's the thing that you have to understand about this. It's really important. You have to create a why that is so intrinsic and foundational to the soul of your being that no matter what happens, you're going to step into it. You're going to go. And often I tell people, you have to create a why based on you. It can't be about family. It can't be about friends. It can't be about career. It has to be about you. And for me, my why was, I remember this moment being a little kid siphoning water off of the neighbor's spigot in the middle of a hot August Indiana summer because my parents had spent all the money on drugs and alcohol, so we didn't have running water. And as the sun was beating down on me and I'm literally stealing water from the neighbor, I was like, this is not the life I'm going to have in the future. And honestly, I just kind of lost track of that. And what happened is I had to make a decision. And that was that mirror moment. And that was me coming back and saying, you know what? I'm going to do the thing I said I was going to do. And so question 2, you have to ask yourself, when I start my day, am I setting myself up for success or am I setting myself up for failure? And that means, what are you doing? Because often we kind of step into life nonchalantly. We're very ambivalent about this idea of healing. One of the things that you have to do in order to be successful as you step into this is you have to put yourself in a position to have success. And that means creating habits, creating understanding. For some of it's journaling or meditation, it's reading, it's going for a walk, it's starting our day in a healthy manner. And out of pure curiosity, if you leave it in the notes there, if you leave it in the box, how do you start your day? Do you think you're starting your day for success, or do you think you're starting your day for failure? And if you think you're starting your day for success, what is the number one thing that you think starts your day for success? I'm so curious. And if you don't have anything, that's okay. But when I think about it, when I think about success, and I'll tell you about my routine quickly, is every day I wake up and the first thing that I do is I just put my feet on the ground and I have gratitude. I have gratitude for my experience. And that's a really hard thing to acknowledge, being thankful for bad things that happen. And it's not that I'm thankful for the experiences as much as I'm thankful that I'm still here and that they taught me how to persevere and how to be resilient and how to grow and how to help people. Because often, and you guys know this, like setting yourself up for success just by being grateful right out the gate is one of the best ways to start your day. You know, and it's difficult because I've been on the side of depression. I've been in this place where I've been so sad and so depressed that I just don't want to get out of bed. And on those days I didn't. And I was a failure. And I would sit in bed, I'd watch TV, I'd be high all day long, accomplishing nothing. And it was when I found gratitude and I said, you know what? I'm putting my feet on the ground. I'm grateful. I'm grateful I'm alive. Because like realistically, the next heartbeat could be the last heartbeat. And that's the world and that's life. And so every day I'm thankful and I'm gracious for that. And so Kathleen, you focus on starting your daughter's day in a way so that she can be successful. That is beautiful. I love that. And Justin, taking a shower and making sure I make myself look good for myself. You know, I love that. You know, I think that's so important because like when we feel good on the outside, we feel good on the inside. And so I'm going to share something with you guys here as we go into this book, Think Unbroken, Understanding and Overcoming Childhood Trauma. I'm actually giving both of you guys a copy of that book. So Kathleen and Justin, after this, I'm gonna want you guys to email me at michael@thinkunbroken.com. That is my direct email, michael@thinkunbroken.com, with the subject line 5 Keys book. Okay. because you guys are participating, because you guys are showing up, because you guys are holding yourselves accountable, right? I'm going to send you a copy of the book. And if you want to grab a copy of Think Unbroken, it is on Amazon. It was an Amazon #1 selling book. It's 5-star rated. And you can grab it there, or you can grab it at thinkunbroken.com/paperback if you want to read this book. And Think Unbroken is the baseline of everything that I felt was missing in the journey of healing as I was reading all these books and going to all these seminars. And so I built that book to be a tool and a companion as you're on this journey. So congratulations, Kathleen and Justin. I'm going to send that out to you guys. The next problem you have to think about is, in line with this, is I always seem to start a habit or routine, but can't seem to stick with it. That comes back to the why. In everything that we do, guys, we have to have intention, and that includes healing. We have to make a decision that I am going to do this, and then I have to be accountable and follow through. And here's one of the things that I think people do that they miss the boat on, is they add too many things at once. So what I want you to do is add a simple habit to your day that's easy to be consistent with. It could be journaling for 3 minutes, meditating for 5 minutes, walking for 10 minutes. It could be doing yoga for 10 minutes. Like anything, like people go, okay, I'm going to do yoga and meditate, and I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this and this. And what happens is you don't do any of them, right? Because often as trauma survivors, we think about life in terms of the all or nothing, and there's not a lot of gray area, right? And so you're in this place where you're like, well, I didn't do it one day, so I might as well quit. The problem is that you have to understand is we've quit on ourselves too many times. If you're done quitting on yourself, type in "I'm done." If you are done quitting on yourself and you are ready to show up for your life, type in "I'm done." Because here's the thing, guys, it has to be a mindset. You have to put yourself in a position where you're going to hold yourself accountable, where you're going to be personally responsible, where you're going to show up, where you're going to love yourself. And look, it's hard. It's not easy. If it were easy, you wouldn't be here right now, right? And so all of you guys, Diane, Andrew, Crystal, Manuela, Kathleen, Dave, Jennifer, Justin, I love it, guys. I love it, because that's what it takes. Like, and I'm not just saying this, like, if you take anything with you, like, forget all the free stuff. Like, who cares? If you take anything with you, the most important thing that I want you to take is that thought of you're done. Because when you quit the stuff that doesn't matter, you can tap into the things that do. Question 3, there are people that know exactly where they are headed in life, and there are people who have no idea what is going to happen next. If you are a person who has no idea what is going to happen next in your life, and you are living this ambivalent life nonchalantly with no indication of what's next, I want you to do this as soon as we're done. I want you to take a piece of paper, and I want you to start writing, and just write down what your life looks like 1 year from now. And it can be anything. It can be anything. I mean, it could be, I'm going to live in France, and I'm going to learn French, and I'm going to learn to be pastries, and I'm going to do blah, 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 whatever. I want you to think about what your life is going to look like, because here's one of the things that happens. Our agency to create the life that we want to have is often taken away. And agency is that thing. It's our permission to live our life. And if our agency is taken away, then it's really easy to get kind of stuck in the vortex, right? This place of just spinning and spinning and spinning, and negative self-talk, and no change, and no growth, and no healing. And so what I want you to do, if you have no idea what's going to happen next in your life, is I want you to take a piece of paper, and I just want you to write down what your life looks like. I want you to go, this is what my life will look like. I'm going to tell you something crazy, and it's absolutely true. Every year, I write down goals around life, hobby, relationships, personal health, business, and learning, and I just move towards those goals. And so I take this piece of paper, I tape it up on my refrigerator. It's everywhere. It's always there, because it's a reminder of what's next. And I want you to have a reminder of what's going to happen next for you. Because here's the reality. Here's a secret that I want you to take with you, and it's true, is you get to decide what's next, my friend. Here's the problem, and that comes back to what I just said. I don't have any direction in my life, and everything feels pointless, right? If you're there, know this. It doesn't have to be that way. If you typed "I'm done," it does not have to be this way, my friend. action. So here's what happens. You're going to reverse engineer your future. So you just sat down, you wrote down those goals, you looked at it, you said, I want to be healthy. I want to be the best mother. I want to be a healthy person for myself. I want to love myself. I want to feel good about who I am. I want to quit smoking, quit drinking, start this, start that, whatever that thing is. Now what you have to do is sit with it for a moment and go all the way to the beginning of it and look at the baseline and say, what is the first thing that I can do? What is the very first thing that I can do? And in the chat, guys, I want you to write the one very first thing that you can do on the journey to what's next in your life. Because intrinsically, we know there's something that just popped in your head right now and you were like, oh, that's the thing. Like, that's the thing I know that I need to be doing in my life. That's what I want you to write in the chat right now. The one thing that you're like, that's what I have to do to move forward in my life. Because here's the thing, when I started this journey and I looked at trauma and I said, all right, I want to not be impacted by this. I want to be a good person to myself. I don't want to cheat on my girlfriends. I don't want to smoke cigarettes all day. I don't want to drink all the time. I don't want to have to numb myself. I want to feel like an athlete. I want to feel like I'm healthy. I want to feel like I love myself. I want to feel like I can impact the world. What I had to do is I had to take a step back and look at it at baseline. What was the most important thing that I could do? And for me at that time, when I first started it, the most important thing that I could do was eat healthy. And so what did I do? I started eating healthy. And it took a while because, guys, let me tell you this. I promise at 365 pounds, you create a love for McDonald's double cheeseburgers. No lie. And I'm no joke. I haven't had one in over a decade because I made a choice. I made a decision. I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. Right? So think about that. And then again, because I want to be grateful and share this with you guys, I'm giving out another copy of my book. So Andrew, keep breathing, my friend. It is going to be okay. I'm sending you a copy of Think Unbroken. So email me at michael@thinkunbroken.com and use the subject line 5 Keys book, because I'm going to send you out a copy of Think Unbroken. Guys, here's the thing, like realistically, this entire process, all of this is possible. All this healing, all this growth, all of your goals, all of your self-love, everything you want, you can have. Question 4. I know we're running out of time. I'm trying to talk really fast, but we're running out. So I'm going to move quicker here. Do I make excuses for the mistakes that I make, or am I responsible for the person that I am? Do I take ownership of my past, present, and future? Guys, the truth of it, and I said it before, personal responsibility is the most important part of this entire journey. If you want to heal, if you want to grow, if you want to be the person that you say you're going to be, you have to be accountable for yourself. Let me tell you this. I have made every mistake in the book. Every mistake. If you're done making excuses, I want you guys to type in, I'm done. Because here's the thing. Making excuses is the way that we get out of jail. It's our get out of jail free card for our own life. And what I mean by that is, so the things that we want in our life, we use as a scapegoat. We go, you know what? This happened, that happened, this happened, that happened. And then suddenly we look at our lives and we blame everyone else. Guys, I'm not going to tell you there is not an impact of trauma in your life, because we looked at it. It is there. Scientifically, it's there. Anecdotally, it's there. Our own experience tells us it's there. But the difference from this moment forward is you have to ask yourself, what am I willing to do to have the life that I want to have? Are you willing to take personal responsibility for your life? Are you going to take ownership over what's next? Are you going to show up and stop making excuses? And look, it is a hard reflection in the mirror that we have to have with ourselves to get to this place. And it's not easy. And so I want you to step into it with trust and with hope and with honesty and with vulnerability and with peace and with understanding, without judgment, because it's a long road. After this course, after this, nothing. Look, here's the truth. People think that they're going to do one thing one time and everything's going to be different. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while, but you stay the course, my friend. And in those moments where you catch yourself making those excuses again, and you catch yourself sabotaging your life, and you're not showing up for yourself, just pause and breathe and ask yourself, what am I willing to do to have the life that I want? And the problem is we always make excuses for the things that happen in our life because we don't know any different. We've seen our family do it. We've seen our friends do it. We saw our community do it. A lot of it was they made excuses for the trauma that happened to us. Oh, I beat my kids because I was beat. Oh, I drink because they drink, blah, 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 so on and so forth. We all have had that, guys. You know it and I know it. But we make the choices moving forward. And so here's the action, the important part, literally the motto. This is the way that I live my life. No excuses, just results. I want you to think about that. I got goosebumps, literally got goosebumps, because this is so true for me. Along with asking yourself, what are you willing to do? You have to attain and adapt the mindset of no excuses, just results. Why? Because that is taking accountability for your life. You can't make any excuses from this point. Look, here's the truth. We are the sum total of all of our experiences leading up to this moment. So it's very true that all of those terrible things that happened to us would, in fact, inform who we are today. But you have to ask yourself, do they get to inform who you are tomorrow? You get to make that choice, my friend. You get to make that choice, because we can look at and we can leverage all of the things that have happened. And there's always a but, there's always an excuse, there's always a reason why. I can name a million of them. I can name them all. And honestly, I probably said them all, right? Oh, my dog ate my homework. Oh, I didn't mean to cheat on you. Oh, I accidentally drank the whole bottle of alcohol. Whatever it is, right? There's always a reason. There's always excuse, right? In order for you to go through this journey, you have to stop making excuses, because that is what they did for us as children. They made all the excuses in the world and they create the precedent, but that does not have to be our future. And finally, the question that you have to ask is, why can't I figure out how to be successful? Why? And the problem is, everyone always says this: I don't have time, I don't have money, I don't have the capacity, the energy, or the skills. And those are excuses, guys. Those are all excuses. Look, people have created amazing lives from nothing. It's true. It's true. People have done things that are unfathomable, and yet they've done them. People said it was impossible to go in outer space, and we did it. People said it was impossible to run a 4-minute mile, and Roger Bannister did that. And people said that it was impossible. There's always an impossible. There's always a judgment. There's always someone saying you can't. And then there's us saying, I don't, I can't, I won't, I shouldn't, how could I don't deserve it. Guys, it's all here, right? Let me share this with you. Your brain, your mindset is the most important thing. Dave, absolutely, mindset, man. The most important thing that you have is this, because when you get this right, it connects to this, your heart. And when your brain and your heart are entwined, everything becomes different. So how do you get there? You create a plan. You create action. You do things like what you are doing right now. You show up for yourself and you write out that plan and you say, I'm going to hold myself to this. I'm going to be accountable. I'm going to show up. I'm going to work on my mindset. I'm going to work on my habits. I'm going to work on the way I talk to myself. I'm going to download the self-love worksheet. I'm going to read the Think Unbroken book. I'm going to go to the webinars and do the courses and find a coach and do a mentor. I'm going to show up for myself. It's all of the things, right? And it's not just one thing that's going to change everything. I already said that, right? But as you accumulate skills and you grow and you learn and you heal and you develop and you adapt and you adopt, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you the best part of all of this. One day, maybe in a month or 6 months or a year, or 12 years or 14 years or 37 years down the road, I don't know, because it's different for everyone. One day what's going to happen is you're going to put your feet on the ground. You're going to have gratitude. You're going to be thankful. You're going to go through your habits and your routines and your rituals. You're going to go to the bathroom. You're going to look at yourself in the mirror. And that reflection that at one point didn't seem like you, didn't seem like the inside, this person that you were, this person that you wanted to be, that reflection is going to change. And you're going to notice something really beautiful in that moment. And what that is that person is who you were all along. And that person is a person who loves himself, who cares about themselves, who shows up for themselves, who doesn't make excuses, who's accountable, and who loves themselves. And that, my friend, is what this is all about, is that moment. that single defining moment in which everything changes. Because you're going to recognize that your power is true and your ability to grow and heal and change is real. And in that, everything around you will become different, because it's hard. Right now, you probably think like looking in the mirror is the worst thing that could ever happen in your life, because I've been there. And I remember like this moment of actually truly looking at myself for the first time and feeling depressed and sad and angry and upset and hurt and lost. And then I remember that moment years ago of doing it again and looking at myself in the eyes and going, wow, you're doing it. You're doing that thing that you promised yourself you were going to do. And that was better than any experience that I've ever had. To go from being terrified of my reflection to loving it and owning it. And that's what happens when you have a plan, when you have action, when you show up, when you go down this path. Suddenly, one day, and again, my friend, it might be 10 years from now, I don't know, everything will be different. And so again, I want to invite you guys to Think Unbroken Academy. There's a free course you guys can take at thinkunbrokenacademy.com. I'm going to send you guys a self-love worksheet. I'm going to give you the group coaching tool that you have access to, the one-on-one coaching questionnaire. If you're interested or curious about doing coaching with me, I'll send you all that information. And here's the thing that's really important about this process. When I do one-on-one coaching, it is literally just that, one-on-one. We go through the curriculum of Think Unbroken Academy, as well as identify the places in your life where we can create change and grow together by ourselves. Now, for people who want to do it or are comfortable in doing it in the small group environment, we have that as well. That's more structured, where we actually go through the curriculum as a group. We go through the tools and exercises, and I teach you the psychology and physiology. Sometimes I have trouble with words when I sit here and talk so fast all day. We talk about the impacts of trauma and abuse. We talk about how to create that future, how to cultivate mindsets, how to create skills, and to be practical. And then each month, if you're on the small group coaching, we do one-on-one calls, just a little touch base. As we start to wrap up here, guys, I want to be thankful for you, and I want to be grateful for you. So thank you. And I want you to thank yourselves and thank all the other people in this room. And if you have questions, now's a great time to ask those. But before you do, if you want to get the email after this, I want you to write in the chat, email me. This way I know, because I'm only going to send the email to people who actually want to get all the resources. It's the free self-love worksheet, the free course, the access to Think Unbroken Academy. I'm going to send you access to the group on Facebook, the private group. I'm going to send you the information on both small group and one-on-one coaching. And if you don't email me in the chat, I'm not going to send it to you, because I only want to send out these emails to people who are serious. So beautiful, guys, amazing. I'm gonna email all of you guys. Thank you so much. And if you want it right now, here, my friends, is the link to the private Facebook group. You can add that right now. Facebook.com/groups/thinkunbroken. Yeah, Alex, I got you. Kathleen, yes, absolutely. Justin, yes. Andrew, yes. Dave, Cynthia, yes. Sharisha, yeah, absolutely. You know, I love that you said that. It makes you feel like you're not alone. And Andrew, we are not alone. Like, that is so true. As we start to wrap up, and I'll make this time about you guys. And if you have more questions, put them in the questions box. And if you want to leave a donation, feel free to. I don't keep the donations. I meant to say this earlier. Sorry. I don't keep the donations from this. If you want to donate, I'm going to use those to give more books to people, to hospitals, to prisons, to institutions, to schools. So if you feel like you want to donate, that is not for me. I make my money elsewhere. That is simply to donate to people. So the donations are being donated in the form of books. If you have other questions, now is a great time to ask questions, and I'll spend, call it 10 more minutes with you guys, and I'll talk about whatever you want. So in the meantime, I just want to say that, yes, you're not alone. And even though this journey is scary, and even though this is a journey that is uncomfortable, and even though you have to step in through learning things about yourself that you never thought you would, I'm going to tell you this, guys. I have been on the other side of this camera. I have been there. I have been depressed and anxious and obese and smoking and drinking and cheating and suicidal and hating life. And I've been here today. And this is not a boast. It is not a brag. It is not anything but the truth. Like, no joke. Guys, I'm telling you right now, I love my life. And it's not perfect. Nothing is perfect. That's not how the world works. I wish it were, but it's not. Here's what I know. I've put myself in a position to be happy, to love myself, to be capable, to grow, to heal, to adjust, to learn, and to be a person who is of service. And the greatest thing that I get out of doing this is the service of knowing that someone's life is going to change. Because I know what it feels like to be there, to be stuck, to hate it, to be like, why? Why can I not figure this out? And then to be here. And it's not that I have it all figured out, because I certainly don't, and I never will. And I think that if you ever stop learning or growing, like, what's the point? But I wake up in the morning and I love myself. You can't put a price on that. For a little boy whose mom cut his finger off when he was 4 years old and was homeless and grew up in a racist household and was beat senseless all the time, loving yourself ain't so bad, is it? And I want to help you get to that place. And so you can join the Think Unbroken Academy, go over the courses in depth. We can go over the self-love worksheet. If you're interested in small group or one-on-one coaching, I'll send you that. And if you want to read Think Unbroken, you can read Think Unbroken on Amazon. It's on both paperback and Kindle. And so as we start to wrap up here, guys, I'm going to answer a few more questions for you guys here. So again, there's Think Unbroken. There's an amazing review that I want to share with you. But I'm going to hop in here and answer a couple of questions real quick. Let's see, Justin, I'm going to hit start answering here. How long have you been mentoring for? How did you decide to become one? And did you struggle with the initial phases? Amazing question. So I've been doing it for a few years now. I first started teaching Think Unbroken just kind of like sporadically in small group sessions. And then eventually I've now spoken in 13 countries, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, America, Canada, Mexico, like all over the place. London. London's not a country. How did I decide to become one? Justin, I didn't actually. Dude, this is what's crazy. Like I was sharing information under an old blog and an email, and it was not Think Unbroken yet. And this was years and years ago. And I was just putting information out in the world that I thought was useful or helpful. And what happened is that as I shared more of that information, more people started reaching out to me and telling me, oh, wow, this is really impactful. This is important. This is helping me. This is making me grow. Let's go back here real quick. And because of that, I just started doubling down on it. I just started sharing more information and sharing more information and sharing more information. And then people started asking me if I would help them one-on-one. And what happened is I had already created the Think Unbroken curriculum, which was, again, this 5-day workshop. And so I just started bringing people through the workshop. And the next thing you know, it was one-on-one and then small group. And now it's kind of what it is now. So it's one of those things where, if you would have asked me 5 years ago if this is what I'd be doing, my answer would be absolutely not. I'd be in marketing, I'd be in advertising, I'd be running my other businesses. And so what happened is it's intuition maybe. I just shut up and I listened to the world and here I am. And I feel so incredibly fulfilled. And that's what's really special about this, is just this fulfillment of knowing that on the backside of these conversations or interactions, or I get these emails or these messages or these texts or these calls where people say my life is changing. That to me is the greatest joy. There's nothing better, because to me, like, money doesn't interest me, possession doesn't interest me, but making the world a better place certainly does. Let's see here. Let me grab another question or two. Jennifer, how do you figure out what you truly want, i.e. being sure about your why? Look, nobody can answer that for you. I can't answer that for you. It's intrinsic. It is buried deep here within you, right? It's deep, 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 deep. And in that place, it's from honesty, and it's from truth, and it's from understanding, and it's from you have sat down and you've really taken inventory of your life and you said, this is the thing. And for me, like, that moment that triggered about childhood and the water and being outside, and remember the heat of that August day and feeling like I must live a different life. I don't know why that came back to me. It just did. And it became this catalyst. And I think the best thing that you can do is just sit down and ask yourself, why? What is it? What is it that drives me? What is it that, and for me, honestly, like real talk between me and you and the other people who might watch this, I have a chip on my shoulder. And I'm not afraid to admit that I have a chip on my shoulder because I not only want to prove that I am capable, I want to also prove other people wrong. And I'm not saying that I want to prove people wrong in this way that's like, haha, screw you, look at me in my fancy car and my nice clothes as I drive down the street and your life is miserable. I want to prove them wrong by showing up and putting my feet on the ground and saying I love myself. Because you said I wasn't capable of it. You said I was worthless. And to show up for me first, that's my why. And so for you, you have to figure out what that is. And not everybody can have a chip on their shoulder. That doesn't work for everyone. But for me, it drives me and it brings me strength, for lack of a better term. It's an amazing question. Thank you. So I'm going to do one more here, guys, and then we're going to call it a night. I just want to say thank you so much. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you showing up for yourself. I appreciate everything here. And I want you to know that I'm here to support you. So after this, if you still have questions, even after I send you all the information and you're still like, I need guidance, help, understanding, whatever it might be, email me. I'm like, literally, this is my email, michael@thinkunbroken.com. Crystal, is there a possibility of your book being available on Audible? Not right now, but it will, I promise. I promise. My goal is to have it on Audible by the end of the year. I will send you the information when that is out. My hope and goal is to have that recorded by the end of the year. Here's what's crazy. I thought that I would have all the time in the world to do a whole bunch of other stuff, like record that. And it turns out like coaching and mentorship and creating courses and webinars really take a lot of time. So, hopefully, actually, if I could clone myself, like that would be ideal. So thank you for that question. And thank you guys for all showing up. I really appreciate it. I know it's a lot on a Tuesday after, a busy day, and it's late for some of you guys. And this is a lot to dive into, and it's a lot to go over in such a short period of time. Like normally this is like a 4-hour course. Like when I do this in person, like we go deep. And so we do what we can with the time that we have. So guys, thank you. Thank you so much. If you have any thoughts or final questions, please leave them in the comments. Let other people see them. If you have anything that you want to take away, please do. I just want to say thank you again so much to each and every one of you guys. You can find me on social media everywhere at Michael Unbroken. I'm going to leave a link here for you guys here. For a follow me, and that is, I'm typing this as we go, so hang tight. Should have done this in advance, but didn't think about it. So I just threw a button in there for you guys to follow me on Instagram.com/MichaelUnbroken, so you guys can follow me. And if you have questions, I'm always there too. You can hit me up at michael@thinkunbroken.com. I'm going to send you all the information. Thank you guys so much from everywhere around the world. You guys are incredible. I know we went over by about 20 minutes. So I'm sorry about that. Next time I will go even faster. You're probably like, you already talk so fast. So thank you, my friends. Have an amazing day. And until next time, be unbroken. I'll see ya.